Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Joel Madden, and this is Artist Friendly. On today's episode, I'm talking to Franklin Jonas. Let's go.
That's my kind. I don't want no bad times. I don't want to have bad.
When was your first time out on the road, like on a tour?
I don't even
I just like hanging.
I was so young. Their first like tour that I was like a part of was like an assembly tour in Jersey,
Right.
And I would have been
Of like schools?
yeah, schools.
So they were just traveling. Your brothers
My brothers
were, right?
Yeah.
And you were the
like
little.
5.
You were the little brother,
4 or 5. My dad was driving. It was
right? So it's like a family ordeal.
Yeah,
like
full, like Osmond
because they
vibes.
were also like they were young too at the time. So how much younger are you than your brothers?
so I'm 8 years younger than Nick.
Okay,
and
Nick's the youngest.
Nick's the youngest, and then I'm like 13 years younger than Kevin, who's the oldest.
13 years younger.
Yeah.
That's a gap.
It's super, yeah.
Also, you're like with these like guys at your young age who are becoming like teenagers and are teenagers and are going through all that.
So you're
So
gonna
you're
act a lot
just
older
getting
anyways.
all the information from all different angles. You're with the tour manager in between
Yeah.
like the fucking stage time and they're going to do a radio interview or whatever, and you're like backstage running around with roadies and tour managers and like production,
Yeah, man.
which is a whole like
totally different way.
world.
Yeah, and like you're not at a certain point, very quickly, you're not going to like public
you're
school
not going to
anymore.
elementary
You're
school.
homeschooling and you're on tour and you're filming and you're doing all sorts of shit.
That's
So,
wild.
It's a very different way of life. It's
cool.
It's really cool. It took me a long time and a lot of like therapy to like get to a place where I like am so grateful for how unique of an experience I had. And,
Right,
like,
but also acknowledge the like experiences you didn't get to
Complicated,
have.
yeah.
There's a give and take with everything, good or
Duality.
bad, like
Yeah.
duality, right? Therapy for me is the same. Like I had to come to terms with my experience with my own career, which I thought I wanted. I did want it.
Yeah.
Because we're artists, so we want to create things. But I think we want a different thing when we start because we want the people, like for me, I wanted people to like me. I wanted a validation. I wanted to feel like valuable or special. So the drive of making my music was to get people to clap for me, essentially, right? Like to
Interesting.
get
Yeah.
people to like it and then feel like I was, special. And then I realized like, after having a career, having success and going through that thing and there's always like a duality to it, right? There's always a good and bad to everything. So there was a great part of the career, but there's also a bad part of the career. And I think I went to therapy just to work out like I never processed what part of my career was good and what part was bad. Also, could I reimagine why I want to do it instead of validation? Can I validate myself? Can I feel just good enough just to be me?
And you have the space to have both.
Right. And like from the start, had I had a different childhood, right? Which we can't control also, like where we're born, how we're brought along. It's like you're just gonna roll along with the family that you're born in, and like you're just gonna like acquire the baggage you acquire over your like childhood. And then all the way through your adolescence, and then you get to adulthood and you have to kind of dump the bag out and start sorting through it and figuring out, what do I want to keep? What do I want to lose? I never processed that. I never dealt with that. Right.
I got to a point, because I had sort of just like lived life as best as I could, given the unique circumstances, until I was about 19 or about to turn 19. And I kind of came to a head where like I was just sort of realized that I needed to address how my life has affected me and how I have affected my life as a result of that. And I mean, it took a couple being bassist in a couple pop punk bands for me to realize that I needed to.
The therapeutic side of music.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
Fucking
man.
real, dude.
I was a screamer. I was a screamer back in my day, and it got to a point where I needed to like really address some stuff, and I got really sun got real low, and but it's because of all that like I'm able to do music now, right? And I'm able to.
Your music's good too now. I mean, not to say your music before wasn't good.
I
your
mean,
music's good, dude.
thank
It's
you, man.
really good.
Thank you so much.
I was struck by it. I didn't even know about it. I did not know you were doing music. And then when I heard you were coming on here or that you were interested,
of course.
I was like, oh, like let me check the music out. And straight up, that's it. Of course, I'm interested to talk to you, but like I feel like this show's a musical show,
yeah.
and like everybody that's on here, I feel connected to their music. Like I feel like something about the music speaks to me or whatever. And I'm telling you, dude, your music is good, dude. It really like
You don't know how much that means coming from
really
you.
good.
Like truly, like when I say that I got my start in pop punk bands, like I got my start in pop punk bands, and so that truly is a really
the music's real, man. It's real. And I think that I can feel I can feel a lot of things in the music, and I always listen to music differently. I'm not just I'm a very critical listener, you know, and I feel and I always analyze. Like I think I've just been like listening to music for so long, I can analyze it in real time and really like take something from it. Anyways, I listen to your music and I can hear all of that. And, you know, of course, your life has been super interesting, right? So I expect to hear, but not many people can open up in a song and share in a way that's not only pleasant to listen to or makes you feel something, right? Whether it's happy or sad or whatever, it makes you feel something, but also do it in a way where they can tell a story in a way that we can listen to, and it's a very hard thing to do.
Thank you,
right?
man.
And so I really like it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, you know, I think that going into this, we knew that regardless, people were going to have their expectations or their anticipations. And so it really was like an understanding that we had to big dick it as much as possible. And people were going to have their assumptions and their associations no matter what.
Always.
Of course. And I'm lucky that I get opportunities as a result of my association and my brothers, you know, I get
Your family.
Exactly.
I get it.
But I definitely, we had to figure out how we could tell these stories from as personal and as vulnerable of a perspective as possible. And
That's what I took away from it.
That
I was like, dude,
means the world to be received
he's
for that,
sharing in
man.
a way that feels personal, but it also like you got there. The thing I like the most about the music is it feels uniquely. It feels like, oh, here, this is an artist. Who is this artist? When I heard it, it's cool, man. I personally like take it for whatever you want. I thought the music is why I wanted to talk to you, right? Because our show,
So tight.
like this
so
show,
sick.
this show is not a, God, it's not like this is a very personal show.
Yeah.
This is only people that want to be here are here, and the people listening too. Like they're not interested in the same stuff that I think like pop culture today or the internet today goes after. Anything that'll trend for the day or anything that'll just like get people to click for the day. Like we're running at a different lane with this, like with these conversations. But like, man, I thought that the music was good. And then of course, you know, your life is super interesting and your family, where you come from, of course that's interesting to people, but that could make the music worse. That could make the music, like if you're not being honest and you're trying to do something for a different reason, like I think it's a very fine line that you have to like be honest and like, and make the music you want to make. And then,
but you're really incentivized to do the latter option, right? You're incentivized to do in some way, if the shadow is that big, to some way like fall into it in your own sort of sense, right? Or just like make the shadow bigger and be a part of it then. And I think that it was definitely, that's part of why I wrestled with like not doing it for so long. And all of this music I wrote therapeutically over the course of many years, and never expected to show it to anyone, never expected to do anything with it. In fact, I like showed it to people who run my label, and they signed me, and then I like ghosted them for like a year because
That's fine.
I just
Take
just
your
didn't.
time.
I was terrified, right? And I was so I think there was so many. There was so much that to wrestle with in regards to showing the music to an audience beyond like 3 people in a car, right? And so, but to be received for that is really special. So thank you, man. It's
real. I'm dead serious.
No, and it means the world to me. Truly, like I this whole journey of showing it to the world has been both super surprising and super devastating and super, confusing at times. And because naturally, because of the massive, incredible success that I've been able to be around for a lot of my life,
Right.
I can look at like what I've always wanted to do, which is like being an artist and being someone who makes music that's not for everybody but for myself, that then people might resonate with and might enjoy. And I can do that and release it and have it be exactly what I expected or wanted of my musical career, and then still be like confused or disappointed as to why it doesn't look like something else. And I have to remind myself, I'm like, oh wait, no, like I intended for this to be like a very personal and intimate thing that may not be for everybody. And
it's for you.
Exactly.
But I think that you have grown up in a family that is super serving a lot of people. They are super serving, I mean, you think about like the Jonas Brothers super serving their fans, right? Like they're known to whatever, but like you've grown up around a family that's doing a lot for a lot of people.
Even before that, my dad was a pastor and a gospel musician.
There you go. That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Oh yeah, all about serving.
Like there is like a super serving attitude towards like fans and this and that. And you grew up in that. This is my perspective, anyways. Yeah. I'm just gonna tell you. So it would make sense you'd be conflicted about what you think people want from you. And maybe why I love the music is it does feel like you made it for yourself. Like I hear something that someone just did because they wanted to do it, and it's cool. And so like, it's like someone tinkering in the garage, making something and then coming and showing you like, look at this little thing I made. And you go like, that's fucking dope, dude. You should make another one. Right? Like a guy who's doing a little sculpture that's just cool. You can't do 1,000 of them. You can only do one. There is something about doing something for yourself that is especially in music and art. And then there's something about doing something for other people. And there is like this thing we straddle with as artists. Like we make it for ourselves, and then sometimes we make it for them.
And sometimes it starts with yourself and it grows beyond and it grows into something else. And like, I think for me, like the Jonas Brothers' first record was like a pop punk record.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like that first, It's About Time, I think it was called. It's like, they're wearing Ed Hardy and it's 2000, whatever. And that was for them. And then there was like, just like they were trying to make an MXPX record.
I just had MXPX on the show.
That's so sick. That's so tight. Legendary.
For the sake of this, just had him on the show last week.
Yeah.
But I just talked to Mike and Tom yesterday.
Dude, I grew up on them.
That's funny.
And I grew up on them in the house. It was like them and Kirk Franklin. It was a very weird duality.
Yeah, but like Christian music is a world, even though MXPX will tell you like they were never like defined themselves as like a Christian band.
Yeah.
They were just owned by that audience because they were making music that like at the time when they were young teenagers, they were like 14, 15, 16 making these records. And Mike was like going to youth group and he was singing about what was his life at the time and what he was thinking about at the time.
Yeah.
And like, and they're good guys. I mean, they're very like Christian like guys, I guess. Think about like what is a Christian? I don't know. Like maybe someone who's just
moral, ethical
treats other
person.
people how they want to be treated. Although like we could go down the rabbit hole of like what Christians are today and how they're labeled, which I don't subscribe to any of that.
Yes.
When I say like good Christian, it's like treat your neighbor as you want, treat yourself, and do
you live
all
your life based on There's religious Christians, and then there's like
Just a good
ethical Christians.
good Christian guy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like that's what I think.
Yeah.
Like,
Duality.
he's doing
There's
like,
a duality
he's like
to it.
trying to be like Jesus, you know, like
Yeah.
which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Like that's a revolutionary idea. Anyways,